Good afternoon, everybody, and once again, you are welcome to Capuchin TV, to this special program, taking care of your psycho-spiritual well-being. My name is Joyzy Pius, Egunjobi, Reverend Father, and today, we'll be looking at something that maybe in the old world today we need to pay attention to, and that is the issue of leadership. Leadership, and how leadership relates to our wellness. I have with me a specialist in this area. His name, I will tell you later, but he's a married brother, an author. He's a published author of a special book that is dealing with this topic also on there, the Psychodynamics in School Leadership. I'll be showing you later. So he's been a principal and an administrator in different sectors. He's a Cameroonian by birth and by nationality, educationist, spiritual guide, retreat director, and a very good friend of mine. So here I welcome in a very special way, Reverend Brother Dr. Francis Verye. Hi, brother.
Thank you very much, Father.
How are you today?
I'm doing well.
So you want to say hello to our people at home?
Good. Thank you very much, and we're happy to have you with us. We're sure that you're watching and you are with us in this program, and we will share with you some of the things that you will know and some that you will have to know. But it would be good to have you with us. Thank you very much, and it's a beautiful afternoon to be here.
Thank you, brother. So again, today we'll be talking about leadership and mental health. Maybe we're not going to limit it only to mental health, to our general health. How does leadership relate to our well-being? And of course, even for the leaders themselves. How does their leadership role translate into their wellness, how their mental health or the physical health or their spiritual health actually also help them in their leadership. So, brother, what is leadership in general terms?
Good question. I would define it in a very simplistic way. Leadership is the ability to influence others to willingly, attain the organizational goals. And furthermore, leadership is influencing people also to consciously choose to serve and be the first to serve. In simple terms, that's the way I would want to pray for now. Okay. Yes.
So when we talk about leadership now, it means, people that are willing to help to let people get into certain things, right? Yeah. Okay. And can we call parents also leaders?
Perfectly so. Every family, we'll talk about distributed leadership. Every member of the family is a leader in their own capacity. Recognizing their own giftedness, believing that each one is unique and unrepeatable. We come on this earth with special gifts given to us by the giver, that's our creator, for a purpose, so that we can make this planet Earth a better place to live in. And each one, parents, children, they have a leadership role to play.
Okay.
If this is recognized.
So what are those things that are really expected of leaders?
Leaders are expected, maybe linking up with mental health, leaders are expected to be exemplary in the first place. If we talk about the mental health, we may limit it to that. Firstly, they need their own mental health to be able to show empathy to the people they lead. Because most of the problems come of mental health because of leadership. Leaders sometimes, they overstretch the people they are supposed to lead. They are not physically present. They project issues to them. But if they know who they are, then they will be able to understand the people that they lead with their own giftedness as individuals, not as a bunch of people. So leaders are expected to, firstly, know the people they lead as individuals, gifted differently, and come into the organization with a purpose and something to make, something that they should be encouraged to make their contribution according to their own giftedness and training and skills. That is what
okay. Yeah, because what I'm asking about that is that just like as I was coming in to the studio today, somebody was asking about, talking about African leadership. African leadership. And I said, well, we're all leaders, we all contributed to things. So what are those expectations? Like if I say, you are my leader, for example, what do I expect from you?
Interestingly, there are two approaches.
Okay.
Firstly, there is what you call distance leadership. And that is African way of, if I were to talk to a chief, I would keep a distance. And there will be a posture. And the chief expects me to do things for him. And then there is what you call, proximity of leadership. That is leadership that is close to the people. In the West, it is very common. I will not, my boss will not expect me to, for instance, in the shopping center or in the mall, to leave what I'm doing and start pulling his trolley because he's my leader. But the Africans will expect that. Yeah. But that is the difference. African leadership is called distance. And the leader in Africa is not supposed to make mistakes. And that could lead to stress and to call it depression, because they are not gods. But it is expected that the leader in Africa is not supposed to make mistakes. But in the West, we're human. And we can err. We can make mistakes. And we can correct each other. And learning is a process on both sides.
Yeah. And I was coming back to that later on the issue of the mental health part of how our leaders maybe can contribute to our mental health, or how their own mental health can affect them in there. We'll be looking at that as we go ahead to look at what is their own state of health, how does it translate in the way they lead, and also how does their leading translate into our mental health. Okay. But just to give our viewer a kind of a little broad understanding of what they call leadership. And that's why I'm taking it to that way, so that they get to know what is this leadership. Now, are there different types of leadership?
For sure. There are different types of leadership. If we talk about educational leadership, mostly it's limited to, maybe call it laissez-faire. Just call it them randomly. You may call it democratic style of leadership. You may call it authoritarian type of leadership. That's the leadership that you're told what to do. And you may have what you call distributed leadership. Okay. Recognizing other people's giftedness and encouraging them to develop it and use it for the development of the institution. Mind you, within this leadership, or these people that you are supposed to lead, some of them may not be aware of the giftedness that they have. And that is what we will call the conscious, the conscious competence and the unconscious incompetence. Can you develop, if you discover that, the conscious incompetence, as a leader, you should be able to say, hey, Moffat, you have this gift, take it on and use it for humanity. Then you also have what you call the unconscious incompetence. The people who will be claiming they do things and they are not even gifted, they don't have training for it, and they claim they will spoil things. Yeah. Whereas as a leader, you have to be aware of this. Yeah. And then those kind of people are not easy to train because they believe they know everything. Yeah. Then you have what you call the unconscious or the conscious incompetence. I know that I don't know, and I want to know. Those ones, the leaders should reach out for them and say, look, please, you can do more and you think you are doing, you go ahead and do that. Those ones are easy to train. So leadership is just about that, to be vigilant, to be perspective, and to be able to,
Yeah, thank you very much, brother. Because I was going through your book, and I found what you're explaining on the page 102, where you actually develop it on your own, even though people have talked about conscious and unconscious stuff, but you brought out your own model in this quadrangle representation. You know, what we were just talking about, the unconscious competence, and then you have in another window, you have the conscious incompetence, then you have a conscious competence, and then you have an unconscious incompetence. And that's so fascinating that you're able to come up with this one. And maybe when we come back in the second half of this program, you'll be telling us more about that. So the book we are talking about is right here in my hands. It's called Psychodynamics in School Leadership. Psychodynamics in School Leadership. That is written by our guest today, who is right here. And then, of course, we'll be talking about it again later to see if you may enjoy it, because I enjoyed reading it, and that's why I'm able to know where actually he picked that from, what he was talking about today. Again, it's about leadership. We want to know about how they can affect us. We will be focusing more on the affectation of this leadership influence on the populace, or maybe either in the school setting, or even in the church. It could be in the church, it could be in the city, it could be our governors, our presidents, all this kind of where we exercise this role of leadership, and what it can actually do to us. What it can do to us. Presently in some countries, there are a little unrest and people are blaming the leadership for that. What can you say about that?
That would be tied up with what I call, or what is being discussed as position leadership. Position leadership has three components. The legislative leadership. You are elected as a leader. You are appointed as a leader. You have been designated and assigned into a position of leadership. And then one of the components would be what you call the reward power. Then one of the components is coercive power. This can be used positively and negatively because it's in the hands of one man or one woman, call it. The fact that he is a leader, he has been appointed, he's been elected, that is his position, and we recognize that. But then, what are you rewarding? The competence in the other person? Or you're rewarding friendship? Or you're rewarding tribesmen? Or you're rewarding countrymen or whatever? Is it being objective? And then you have what you call the coercive. I have the power. And I can put my foot on top of you when I want and take it off when I want.
Wow.
And my decision stands.
Wow.
But what is the common good? I think that is the crux of the matter. What is the common good for the good of the...
Thank you very much about that. So you see, like, the leader should be working towards the common good of the people.
Yes.
When we come back, we continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amri za Mungu. Ndimi Bwana Mungu wako. Usiabudu miungu wengine. Usilitaje bure jina la Mungu wako. Shika kitakatifu siku ya Mungu. Waheshimu baba na mama upate miaka mingi na heri duniani. Usiue. Usizini. Usiibe. Usiseme uongo. Usitamani mwanamke asiye mke wako. Usitamani mali ya mtu mwingine. Amri za Mungu.
Kupata
amri za Mungu.
Kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza neno sikiza likifuatwa na nambari 738102551.
The Psychospiritual Therapy Institute, which we of the Luke Stera Leadership Foundation, in collaboration with Miss Joachim, have set up, is a project that I am very excited about, and I am very happy that I am part of the birthing of this project. It is aimed at healing of pastoral agents that run into problem on account of widespread trauma, on account of burnout, on account of addictions, and all kinds of problems that pastoral agents do have. But with this project of the Psychospiritual Institute, we shall now be training experts in psychospiritual therapy who will be available in various countries, various dioceses and congregations to help their colleagues who are in difficult life situations of an emotional and psychological nature.
October being a Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Mater Misericordia Hospital is having a free breast examination throughout the month at our main hospital and all our medical centers. Take this opportunity to have your breast examined and learn more about breast cancer, how to do breast self-examination, mammography, breast ultrasound, fine needle aspiration, treatment and side effects, recovery and renewal. Our mammogram, breast ultrasound and pap smear charges have been drastically reduced through this month. Mammogram is at 2,500 Kenya shillings. Breast ultrasound is at 3,000 Kenya shillings. Pap smear is at 1,500 Kenya shillings. The schedule of screening centers will be as follows. Main Hospital, Monday to Friday between 7 and 10 a.m. Buruburu, Monday between 8 and 1 p.m. Development House, Tuesday between 8 and 12 noon. Karen, Monday to Friday between 8 and 12 noon. Westlands, Monday to Friday between 8 and 12 noon. Thika, Monday and Friday between 8 and 10 a.m. Kasarani, Tuesday and Wednesday between 8 and 10:30 a.m. Shujaa, Wednesday and Thursday between 8 and 12 noon. Did you know that women aged 30 years and above are at a higher risk of breast cancer and are encouraged to attend? Please share this information with your colleague, friends and relatives. Mater Hospital Breast Clinic runs every Wednesday between 9 and 11 a.m. Please contact us on 0732 163 132 or 0719 073 132 to book an appointment. Mater Misericordia Hospital cares.
Welcome back, everybody, and again, welcome. We thank our guest, Reverend Dr. Francis Verrier, who has been with us, telling us about leadership and what it's all about. He has also mentioned different type of leadership, of talk about authoritative, democratic, and kind of a thing. But he ended on the note of saying that the goal of the leadership is to be towards the good of the people they are leading. The good of the people they are leading. And I think that is one thing that we need to pay attention to. We'll be asking him to lecture us more or to tell us more as an expert on that area. So, brother, we've been talking about, I know when you were talking the other time, you've been mentioning some things about the depression and the things that could happen, you know, mental breakdown, maybe from the reaction we have towards the leaders or kind of a thing. In what way does leadership affect the mental health of people?
Good question. In fact, leaders have a responsibility to safeguard the mental well-being of the people they lead and their own mental health as well.
So maybe because not just the people alone, even their own
well-being, mental well-being, very important. Because leaders could be so demanding. Pressure of work, deadlines, given more than the workforce can handle. And what is more, that work is being taken home these days. They're all working overtime with very little reward.
That is very true.
And people are being consulted out of workplace. Normally they will leave work in the office and go home.
Yeah. So the time they're supposed to have for the family,
exactly,
they don't have it.
There's a collision, family issues and things. So it can be something that we may not ever imagine if care is not taken. But the leader himself has to be aware of his own mental well-being so that he will become empathetic to the others. And the area of making sure that the workforce is ready for what they're asked to do. Skill training, competencies, and what have you, to make sure that they are not overburdened. And deadlines should be realistic. And the amount of work given should also be realistic. Yeah.
So, because if it's not realistic, it can lead to burnout.
Burnouts, yes. Depression. All those things and so on.
Yeah. When the work is too overwhelming.
Exactly.
The deadline is there, and I've not finished.
Exactly.
And I'm anxious whether I'll be fired if I don't finish on time, and all those kind of things. So I have to take this work home, and at home where I'm supposed to be lively with my family.
Exactly.
I cannot. So what can I do as an employee if I'm feeling this way, and I know that maybe it's the leadership that is pushing me towards that direction? How do I address that?
Firstly, it has to start with the workplace and the employer, the CEO. That he would create, or she should create, a conducive environment to discuss, not on the work, but to discuss about family. You know, what was bothering you last night? So that a safe environment where they will say, well, we will share this, and that's not going to affect us in our workplace. We will not get fired. We'll get someone who's understanding. And the leader has to play the bigger role here, because to care for the workforce is as important as caring for the organization. Because these are the ones who are producing, and they've got to know that they need that health in order to be able to, you know, when we talk about mental health in the first place, you know, gone are the days when we used to think physical health, safety was the key. But mental health, holistic person is of the essence. This holistic person is of the essence. Mind, body, soul, all together. You know, do you encourage them to take time out and have a kind of meditation, to link up with their Creator, to talk about themselves with Him? Do you encourage them to take time out from the office and walk around? Do you encourage? Sports is no more about running around. Sports is a different way. Take a walk, have a conversation on the phone while you are walking around the pitch in the school or on the road. That refreshes the mind. And also have a shoulder that you can lean onto, a confidant someone that you trust. Can you actually trust this leader? That what I share is not going to affect my pay package. What I share will not warrant me being dismissed from work. Because that adds to that, the anxiety. And they stay and die with all this. Firstly, the leader has to be aware of their own need for this mental care. They should be able to ask, what is the state of my own mental well-being? I remember when I was studying for my PhD, I had shoulders to lean onto. I remember producing one really, big research paper, which I should have done my best. And I went passed on to the university. The professor told me, my friend, you have to do it from the local level, from the national level, and from the international level. And I need a shoulder to lean onto. And immediately, I said, where do I go from here? It was devastating. And I nearly gave up.
Wow.
I nearly gave up.
Thank God you did not.
I thank you. And I remember I have friends around, and I gave a call to Professor Majawa, Professor Inquire. Said, Prof, I have a problem. I said, what's your problem? I said, I'm reading this paper, and they're asking me from the local level, from the national level, from the international level. I'm lost. What is it? And they said, okay, can I have it? I handed it to him. And after a week, he called me. He used to call me Bambo Bambo. You have done 90% of the work. And that was a big relief because I had a shoulder to lean onto.
Wow.
Someone that I can, and he lifted me. And I went with the strength that I could never ever imagine because I had somebody to lean onto. As a personal example, yes. That is, yeah.
Now when we consider this COVID era, where there are a lot of companies, organizations are having the bit of it, from the lockdown to people actually losing their work, losing their job. Those who are not losing their job, the work hour is reduced. So invariably, people don't really have enough resources to take care of their family, and that can actually bring stress on the people. What, in your own opinion, what do you think the best way the leaders should handle this situation than letting go of people? I don't know.
We are standing on precarious grounds. Precarious grounds in the sense that the economy of the universe is affected. Perhaps people need to be educated to be more creative in ways of doing and in ways of doing business and way of running family. The Holy Father talks about the culture of waste. Maybe we have to revisit and say, what is it that we needed that we used to think we need that we no longer need that, so that we can manage with the little that we have. Maybe as leaders, the leaders need to be more conscious of this in the sense that we say easier said than done. To be more conscious of the fact that it is a fact and it's something dealing with, because the child is going to run into the house, Dad, I need a piece of bread, and you don't have 10 shillings to buy a piece of bread. The child does not know that you don't have 10 shillings. How do you get, as a leader, know how to handle this in order to maintain the sanity and the cohesion in families? It is a very tricky thing for leaders. And leaders should begin to come together as one family instead of splitting as sectarian groupings and asking themselves, where do we go from here? Perhaps a solution that might be in Nigeria or in Cameroon or in Kenya could be a solution that can be imported or put heads together and say, it is working here, why can't we use it here? In terms of consumption of local...
Cross notes.
Yes, exactly, to cross notes and things like that.
Yeah.
And maybe it is a time for leaders to begin to think. Maybe as an educationist, I can go to some of the things that get me worried. Africa consumes what they don't produce. and produces what they don't consume. Perhaps, maybe it's time to begin to ask, what is it, where have we gone wrong? If we go local, can this be helpful? Maybe questions should be asked and answers will come from the people. Yeah. Maybe they're lying there, something else.
So just before we go, I just want to ask one more last question before we go because our time is almost over. Mm-hmm. Can the mental health of a leader affect the way he's governing? Can the health or the mental health of a leader affect the way the person performs as a leader?
Exactly. Very much so. If the leader is aware of their own weakness, if they're aware of their own vulnerability, they will be able to seek assistance.
Oh, so they need help.
They need help.
So many leaders need help,
exactly.
Just like we need help too.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, brother, once again for this expose, because it's just as we were talking, that was coming into my mind, that if I'm sick myself, if I'm not too mentally stable, and I'm the leader, it's possibility that I'm not going to run the organization well.
Exactly.
Or I begin to lash out on the people that I'm governing, and then it will, when they are not happy, they are not giving their best in their productivity.
Exactly.
And it affects the whole of the organization. So what we've been talking about in Verye Br is the fact that our mental health is important in all that we do, and especially in the way the leaders actually take control or relate with the other people that are put in charge of them. And when we treat others well, they become happy. Because many times people actually get sick at work and they are almost like they are abandoned.
Yeah.
But that should not be. So we are saying that leaders also, they need to take care of themselves, to seek help when they need it, not just the physical health. They need to check their emotional stability and, of course, their spiritual health as well, well-being. Just so that when they do that, they'll be able to actually assist others. Again, this is this program called Treating Your Psycho-Spiritual Well-Being. It's a kind of a biopsychosocial techno-spiritual model that we do every now and then on Thursdays, 2:30. Thursdays, 2:30 Eastern African Time, here at the Capuchin TV. Looking forward to see you again. Once again, thank you, Brother Francis, for coming here. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you again next week. God bless you.
Thank you very much.